let's get to driving this car. What do you say? Let's go! Beautiful. It packs a punch for what it is. Yes! Welcome to yet another episode of Get Set Go. Today I have the 2019 BMW M240i with xDrive. Man, that's a mouthful, okay? But what's more of a mouthful is listing how many features this car actually has. So what I've done is I threw all the features down into the description below. As equipped, this car is $56,600 and some odd dollars, which again is very significant versus where the base model starts at. But nevertheless, my intention for today's video is to see if this car is worth considering over the M2. So to start, question of the day. And now this is going to be a statement, and I'm going to ask you guys whether it's true or false. Just put your answers down below. So LSD and stage 1 tuning make the M240i to outhandle and outperform the M2. Again, the statement is that if this car had limited slip differential and a stage 1 tuning, that this car can not only outperform but outhandle the M2. True or false? Drop your answers down below and I look forward to reading. Before we continue, I want to make a couple of announcements, okay? So the first one is if you currently live in Southern California and you have a car that deserves more attention, then reach out to me. I'd love to review it. Two ways to contact me. You can either comment down below what car you have and what city you live in, or you can also email me at supremeautobroker@yahoo.com. Second announcement is that I have a goal this year for 2021 to get to 500 subscribers. I'm currently sitting at 55, which is honestly incredible. I didn't think this channel would pick up so much pace at such a short amount of time. But again, I have a goal this year and I'm asking everyone for help. You can help by liking, commenting, and subscribing. These are all three ways that you can tell the YouTube algorithm, hey, people are liking this content. It's resonating with everyone. Let's recommend it. And let's boost this guy up. The M240i shares the same engine that you'll find in the Toyota Supra, M3, M4, M5, and of course, the list goes on. It's a 3.0 turbocharged inline six that produces 335 horsepower and 369 pound-feet of torque. Okay guys, enough of this nonsense. Let's take all this information and let's see how it translates into the real world. All right. So very powerful. That exhaust is actually rather louder than I expected it to be. You know, this car, it really is quiet, especially on the highways. So again, I was surprised to realize how loud the exhaust is, you know, as soon as I put the top down. So this car has a near perfect 50-50 weight distribution. It's very nimble, it's very agile. You can throw it across the canyons and best believe it'll take you to the other side. Okay, so this car offers 4 different driving modes, okay? The first one is Eco Pro, Comfort, Sport, and then Sport Plus. And as I hit the Sport Plus, you know, you actually have to hit it twice for you to confirm because it actually takes off the dynamic traction control. And it does a good job. Watch, here's a clip of this car without the traction control. Check it out. I like the steering in this car. It's good enough for daily driving, but obviously it's good enough to show its personality up here in the canyons. I just do notice that there is a little bit of play in the middle. You guys can see that. It doesn't really do much in the steering wheel. It doesn't move the wheel as much. So again, it's, I mean, obviously it's not the M2. It's not gonna be as direct, but again, I'd like to see a little less play in the steering wheel. Hit it. Oh man. All right, let's get manual mode in play. Wow. There it is. Because I spent so much time with the traction control off, I'm a little scared to push this car, but I do realize again, that I'm just in sport mode. So sport mode with the all-wheel drive system does a really good job at holding the line and making sure you don't go past your driving capabilities. Here's a long one, keeps going, keeps going, keeps going, keep it. Beautiful! That's how you do it! Wow, just that last one. Just that last turn right there was really intense. Very long. You can get some really high speeds there, and there's huge buffers on the side. So again, you can really push your limit on that turn there. If it was in traction mode, I would have been drifting the entire time. But it's because I'm in sport mode, this all-wheel drive again does a really good job at keeping you in line. It doesn't throw you off the line. It's not unpredictable. The revs does a really good job at maintaining. Even if you let off the gas, that rev is slowly going to decrease. So that brings a lot of predictability to the car as you're driving it. Okay, now that we got to the top, let's work our way down and let's see what this car can do going downhill here in Mount Wilson of California. All right. Beautiful the way it held me in right there. There was a rock in the middle of the road, how to work my way around it, how to get into the middle. But again, the car just did a really good job at correcting me right then and there. A high revs makes this car really fun to drive. You know, 7,000 RPM. It's quite a lot for a car this size. Here we go, back on that turn I mentioned. Slow down, drop it to second gear, 4,000 RPM. Loose gravel on the ground, but the car is maintaining really well. Beautiful. Here we go, another one. Yes. This is why we get small cars like this. Short wheelbase, tight, rigid chassis. This is the purpose of this, man. You're doing things in this, I'm doing things right now in this car that you would not be able to do in any other car above its class. Let's go! I am not over exaggerating. This car is a lot of fun to drive. All right. This route that I'm taking now is more straight speed. It's downhill. At least going this way is downhill. You can get some really good speed here, and there's wide roads. It opens up to 2 lanes on each side. So again, 4 lanes. So let's see how this car can handle the higher speeds. It handles it. It's doing work. Okay, let's flip this car around. Let's see what it does going uphill. Back on manual mode, going uphill of this steep canyon here. This car, man, I'm telling you guys, has a lot of power. It packs a punch for what it is. You know, what I'm noticing is that you sit a little higher in this car. You know, it feels like a normal sedan that I'm driving because of how high it is. There is that little bit of body roll. You know, the car does bounce a little, it's obviously firm suspension, but the body does roll a little bit. That's just a car warning you, like, hey, you're kind of pushing the limits here, buddy. Okay, so I'm sure after seeing this video, you're confused as to whether you should go with the M240i or stay with the M2. And for that reason, I'm gonna help break down some of the pros and cons down to each one of these decisions. Okay, the M240i, of course, not only is lower cost, but the demand isn't as high as, you know, maybe the M2 would. So the chances of you finding something that's the perfect color combination or finding something that's the package that you're comfortable with is more likely than the M2. Again, the M2 does have higher demand, which also means higher markup. It also means a lower chance of you finding the color combination you want, of course, unless you go straight from the factory. But for this reason, it also has a better resale value. Of course, the higher the demand, the lower the production for it, the higher the cost for it. So again, the M2 does win as far as resale value. The M240i does have another benefit, and that's the only trim that has all-wheel drive. So of course you cannot get all-wheel drive on the M2. But what you could get is the dual clutch transmission. And again, dual clutch transmission is exclusive to the M2. Of course, not the only M2, the only BMW product, but in this case, you cannot get the dual clutch in the M240i. Of course, all the other benefits that come to the M2 is a sharper steering, more grip for the bigger 19-inch tires, the stiffer suspension, and the beefier brakes. But like I said, M2 has a lot of demand and the production is rather low, so the chances of you reselling it is more than likely. So I hope that brought a better perspective into your buying decision. I got to thank you guys for sticking through to the end, because again, you guys can go with any other YouTube channel and yet you guys are sticking to the end of this one with me. So again, thank you guys, and I look forward to hearing from you soon.